Well, hello everybody. Thanks for joining me. This is Trailer Trash Tim. I am glad you're here. We've got a lot to talk about today. Before I get to what I want to talk about, let me just review very quickly. My last video, of course, was about Sarasota Tim and Social Security, which was relevant for a lot of people. But I was trying to offer up my clarifications on my views of Social Security as opposed to his views on Social Security. So I hope you got something out of that video. But I wanted to mention a man who could be a lot of help if you're interested in further information on this topic and better information, frankly, than I gave. There is a YouTube channel that goes by the name of OTTER'S Retirement Corner, OTTER, and I'm going to link it down below. Howard is the man behind the controls there, and Howard is an expert in Social Security and retirement issues, things of that nature. And he's done really even better videos than mine, several videos to counter what Sarasota Tim is saying. In any event, if you're interested in Social Security at all, I recommend that you check out OTTER'S Retirement Center. Howard, thank you so much for chiming in on that video. I appreciate it, and I highly recommend that all of you go and check out his channel. Again, I will link it down below. All right, let's get going. I just want to reiterate what I said a couple of videos ago, and that is that I am all in for Joe Biden. Now, here we are on Tuesday, July, I believe the 2nd. And we are days removed, of course, from the debacle that was the so-called debate between Biden and Trump. And you were hearing a lot of calls, even from Democrats, for Biden to step down and get out of the race. Apparently, there was some big confab in the last couple of days out at Camp David. And reportedly, Biden was being encouraged by some to step aside and by others to remain in the race because, so I didn't know what to make of that because I didn't know, well, maybe he's going to step down. But apparently, Biden is digging in his heels. As I noted in a previous video, Biden has the nomination in hand. He has the delegates. It's his nomination. So it's really up to him. I mean, nobody can force him out. The only thing that would get him out of the race would be death or some sort of incapacitation. Otherwise, he's going to have to voluntarily step aside. I realize there are power brokers in Washington that and elsewhere that could tell him, listen, you're going to have to step aside and maybe we'll do this or that for you. The funding apparently has, I don't know if it's dried up completely, but you got to have money to run for president. Simple as that. I don't know where things stand. I was initially thinking he would step aside. Now I'm starting to think he's not going to. I think I am sure that cruel Jill is in the camp of staying in. So the longer we go with this, the more I'm inclined to believe that Biden is going to ride this out, which is fine with me. That's why I'm all in for him, because I want it to be Trump versus Biden, not Trump versus somebody else. I don't know that I don't know that Trump would lose regardless of who the opponent is. But I would be better. I would be more encouraged if his opponent were Joe Biden, because I just can't see people going out in mass to support this man who is so obviously mentally incapacitated at this moment. I will say this. Some of you know Bill O'Reilly, formerly of Fox News. I can only take O'Reilly in certain doses, but O'Reilly took to Twitter a couple of days ago on Sunday, and he said that his sources have told him Biden is out. He's getting out. Well, take that for whatever it's worth. It wouldn't be the first time O'Reilly's been wrong. He's got a record of being wrong. So I wouldn't put a lot of stock into what O'Reilly is saying. I'm thinking right now Biden's just going to stay in. Anyway, we shall see. All right, I've got to get to a little video I want to share with you. And I got this video from my buddy Anthony Laurie over on Twitter. This is priceless, what I want to share with you. Anthony is the son, of course, of Tracy, one of our subscribers here. Great folks. And Anthony is a good guy. He posts some great stuff on Twitter, and I want to share this with you because the entertainment value is tremendous here. This is cackling Kamala Harris, and she's having apparently a little phone conversation with one of her fans who is fretting over over life in America today. I want you to get a load of this. Listen, if you will.
No, Taraji. Now, you know I wouldn't do that, especially not to a fellow bison. The real, ain't you? You know. So what's on your mind?
Oh, Madam VP Harris, I'm worried about the election. Women's reproductive rights are on the line. Our Supreme Court is on the line. Our basic freedoms are being tested, Madam VP. I know you've been traveling across the country. What are you hearing?
Yeah, girl, I'm out here in these streets. And let me tell you, you're right, Taraji. There is so much at stake in this moment. The majority of us believe in freedom and equality. But these extremists, as they say, they're not like us.
They not.
There's a full-on attack on our fundamental freedoms. The freedom to vote.
Yep.
The freedom to love who you love. The freedom to be safe from gun violence. The freedom for a woman to make decisions about her own body, not having her government tell her what to do. No, Taraji.
Oh, Taraji. Madam Vice President, I'm so concerned. I'm so concerned. Girl, you got a right to be concerned. Let me see if I can pick this apart bit by bit here. Okay, this is what Cackling Cami Harris had to say to Taraja, I think her name was. She said, the majority of us believe in freedom and equality, but these extremists, they not like us. Okay. The majority of us believe in freedom and equality. You want to bet? Do you really believe that Kamala Harris believes in freedom? What do you mean exactly by freedom? I got a feeling that freedom to Cackling Cammy is not the same as freedom to Trailer Trash Tim. I think we're probably using the word to describe two different things. I don't believe she believes in freedom the way that I believe in freedom. Freedom to Kamala Harris means you can believe whatever you want, you can say whatever you want, you can live however you want, as long as it's the way I think you should talk and think and live. Then you can be free. My version of freedom is you are a solitary figure who can live your life as you see fit as long as you're not a harm or a threat to anyone else. I don't believe that's her definition. Now, Kamala continues telling Taraja there is a full-on assault on our freedoms. The freedom to vote. No, there is not. This woman is a liar. It is as simple as that. Folks, any American, any person, any citizen in the United States of America is able to go and cast their vote on election day, and nobody is going to stop you. It doesn't matter what your skin color is, what your sex is. It does not matter what your age is. It does not matter. If you show up on the polls on election day to vote, the worst thing that's going to happen to you is you may have to wait in line a while. I doubt even that, but it's possible, and you should. But nobody is going to be turned away to vote. You know who could possibly be turned away and kept from voting? The only people in the United States of America, ladies and gentlemen, who might have a little bit of trouble voting on election day would be those who are not citizens of the United States. Or it could be those who can't present a photo ID, which is a real sticking point for Democrats, which is a real problem for Democrats, because Democrats believe anybody should be able to show up and vote. Doesn't matter if they're citizens or not. Doesn't even matter if they're alive or not, for heaven's sakes. This is a lie. We are losing the freedom to vote. No, we are not. You should have to present a photo ID to vote. You should be alive to vote. It should take some effort to vote. If you ask me, is that too much to ask? Is it too much to ask that you go to a physical polling place and maybe stand in line if need be, present your photo ID, prove that you are a citizen of the United States, you're not a convicted felon, perhaps? You got your papers, you got your driver's license? But this isn't what Harris is talking about. Harris is basically saying we want anybody, dead or alive, to be able to vote. And dead people are losing their right to vote. And non-citizens are losing their right to vote. Well, la-di-frickin-da, Kamala. They should not be able to vote. She says we are losing the freedom to love who you love. Where is this freedom being lost? Where is it that you can't love who you love? Who's keeping you from loving who you love? In what city or town or state are you not able to love who you love? I just watched videos yesterday of these parade debacles, gay pride parades, and wild parties out in the streets in places like San Francisco, where people are running around naked, just nothing but utter debauchery in the streets of the United States. Who's stopping these people from loving who they want to love? Who's stopping anybody in the United States from loving who they want to love? Where is this? Can you present any evidence whatsoever, Kamala, that people are being kept from loving whoever they want to love? I mean, what are you talking about? Are you talking about gays? Are you talking about pedophiles? Is that what you're talking about? That's in your wheelhouse, isn't it? Because Lord knows pedophilia is rampant in American politics and among the rich and powerful, unfortunately. Is that what you're talking about? That people should be able to prey on children, Kamala? Is that what you're talking about? She says that we're losing the freedom to be safe from gun violence. Well, what does that even mean? We have a Second Amendment in America. We have the right to bear arms. Some of us do bear arms. Why do we bear arms? We bear arms to defend ourselves, defend our lives, defend our loved ones, defend our properties. Is there something wrong with that? It's not that people in America who own guns are going out in the streets and just blowing away people. That's not happening. There are incidences of gun violence. Yes, I acknowledge that. But what does this term even mean? We're losing our ability or our rights to be safe from gun violence. She says we are losing the freedom for a woman to make decisions about her own body without her government telling her what to do. Another lie. Of course, she's talking about abortion. Now, you may be pro-life, you may be pro-choice, but the bottom line is this. Despite the fact that the Supreme Court overturned Roe versus Wade, as they should have, women who choose to terminate their pregnancy in the United States are still able to do that. The overturning of Roe versus Wade did not change that fact, ladies and gentlemen. Now, I side with the late great Justice Robert Bork, who was denied his seat on the Supreme Court because of the Democrats back in the Reagan era, back in the 80s. He was a brilliant man. He would have made he would have made a wonderful jurist on the Supreme Court. And during his confirmation hearings, which were unsuccessful for him, he basically said, with regard to Roe versus Wade, that it was bad law and it never should have been heard by the Supreme Court. And he was exactly right. You know, that was in 1973. There was abortion in the United States prior to 1973. Roe versus Wade did not change that, did not alter that at all. Women were still able to gain access to abortion prior to Roe versus Wade. The reason it should not have been heard is because it did not apply to the Constitution. It was not, you know, the Supreme Court is supposed to hear matters pertaining to the Constitution, and Roe versus Wade had nothing to do with the Constitution, which is why Judge Bork said it was a bad law and it never should have been heard. And the later version of the Supreme Court, of course, acknowledged that. And that's why they overturned Roe versus Wade, as they should have. But now abortions are still available in America. This did nothing to change Roe versus Wade. And she knows this. Kamala Harris knows this did nothing to change Roe versus Wade. But she's saying we are losing the right. She didn't word it this way, but that's what she's talking about. Women are losing the freedom to get an abortion in America. Another lie. This video, Rush Limbaugh used to call people like Taraja here, or whatever her name is. This is a classic example of a low information voter. This is a classic example of somebody who just is not plugged in. They're not paying attention. They don't know what's going on. They are guided in life by their feelings and just what they hear in pop culture. That's what this is. Unfortunately, there are millions of Americans like this young woman that just don't know what the hell is going on. They're not up to speed. They don't read. They get their information off of TikTok and off of urban radio stations. They don't know what's going on. And it's people like Kamala Harris. This is their base. These low information voters are their base. People who do not know what's going on, unfortunately, they're able to vote, and that's too bad. So all right, we have a new Miss Maryland. Have you heard about this? I guess different states are having their beauty pageants. I know here in Alabama, we just crowned a new Miss Alabama. And Maryland had their pageant. And they just crowned a new Miss Maryland. Let me show you the new Miss Maryland. Here you go. This is the new Miss Maryland, and Miss Maryland, the new Miss Maryland, goes by the name of Bailey Ann Kennedy. You got that? Miss Maryland, USA professor. Well, let me get to that in just a minute. Bailey Ann Kennedy. What's so special about Bailey Ann Kennedy, the new Miss Maryland? Bailey Ann Kennedy was born a man. That's right. The new Miss Maryland was born a man. Miss Maryland USA professes to celebrate both the beauty and confidence of young women, promising a fair environment in which young women have the opportunity to develop skills that will help them win in life by being their personal best in everything they do. But on June 1st, when the beauty pageant crowned a man, the winner of Miss Maryland, a number of the contestants felt they had not been granted that fair and supportive environment that they were promised. The male winner goes by the name Bailey Ann Kennedy and identifies as a transgender woman. The day that he was crowned Miss Maryland USA was also the first day of Pride Month, a fact that was not lost on the contestants. So there you have it. The new Miss Maryland is a man. This is where we are in America, folks. I want you to imagine you're a young woman in the state of Maryland, and you're in the Miss Maryland beauty pageant, and you get beat out by a man. How does that make you feel? We're seeing this in sports. We're seeing this across society where men are entering a woman's domain, if you will. And in sports, they're winning contests, swimming contests, and what have you, because men and women, maybe you don't know this, but I'm here to enlighten you. Men and women are different. Physically, physiologically, we are different. Our structures are different. This is why you don't see women in the NFL. This is why you don't see women in the National Hockey League or, baseball or basketball. They have their own leagues. And in swimming, here's a man who goes and competes against women and wins. And I've asked on this channel before, where's the National Organization for Women? Isn't it strange that the whole women's movement has been co-opted, it's been circumvented, and women are now subservient to men in sports and in beauty pageants? Where is the outrage from the National Organization for Women? How come Kamala Harris isn't saying something about this? Where is Hillary Clinton? You just going to let men come around and bully you, women, and win your beauty contest? And women win your swimming competitions? It's unbelievable to me what's happened. We have lost our collective minds in America. What a sad state of affairs this is. Let me move on quickly to Steve Bannon. Many of you are aware of Steve Bannon, a former senior advisor to President Trump in his first term. Steve Bannon has a podcast called War Room that I recommend to you. Steve Bannon is a man who was called to come before Congress, specifically the infamous J6 committee, a committee of which the since handily defeated Liz Cheney was on. And they sent a subpoena to Steve Bannon, this kangaroo court-style committee, the J6 committee. They sent a subpoena to Bannon to appear before the committee, and Bannon refused. He wouldn't do it because he knew what this was. This was nothing but a committee that was assembled to basically terminate Donald Trump from politics. That's what it was all about. And of course, they did nothing to help the J6 prisoners, these people who are still, the ones who are alive, who are still in prison in the shadow of the White House. Bannon knew it was a kangaroo court committee, and he said, I'm not going. And for this, he was held in contempt of Congress, prosecuted, convicted, and sentenced to prison. And he's been appealing this probably for at least a year now. But his appeals ran out. And on yesterday, on Monday, Bannon reported to prison where he is going to serve a 4-month term. This is an outrage. I want you to remember another man by the name of Eric Holder. Does that name ring a bell for any of you? Eric Holder was President Bill Clinton's attorney general. Eric Holder was called to another committee in Congress to answer questions about the Fast and Furious debacle. I'm sorry, not Clinton, Obama. Eric Holder served as Barack Hussein Obama's attorney general, not Clinton. Like there's much difference. But anyway, he was Obama's attorney general. He was called before a congressional committee who was investigating the Fast and Furious debacle. Eric Holder refused to appear and was charged with contempt of Congress, just as Steve Bannon was. How many days in prison do you believe Eric Holder served? Not one. The rules for thee, but not for me. So Steve Bannon, like the J6 prisoners, like the recently released Julian Assange, Julian Assange, like Gonzalo Lira, like so many others I could name. Steve Bannon is a political prisoner. He's going to serve 4 months in prison before he is released, but this is an outrage that should have never happened, not to mention, of course, the fines he has to pay. That's what's going on. That's what's happening with Steve Bannon. Hey, look, give me your comments down below about this video. Please make sure to like this video. It helps our algorithm. If you have not yet subscribed to the Triple T channel, I invite you to do so. If you want to get the great health and nutritional supplements, go to jointriplet.com and avail yourself of that resource. All the relevant links are down below. Remember, OTTER'S Retirement's Corner. That will help you as well. This is Trailer Trash Tim. Everybody go out there and have a great day. I'll see you soon.